Ooh, what up, no? It is another Thursday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and man, do we got a show for you. This is going to be another debut episode as we've got the Bev himself, Bobby Beverly, is coming through before Circle 6 comes to Detroit, but he's not coming alone. He's coming with our guy, Mikey G from Circle 6. There's a lot to talk about. We got to talk about 6 to the 6. We got to talk about King of the Deathmatch. We got to talk about, obviously, what's going down here February 18th at Harpo's here in Detroit. But before I get to do that, I got to tell you about our sponsors from Potter's Tree Service. If you're in the need for tree removal, tree trimming, chipping service, storm damage cleanup, walnut logging, or lot clearing, Potter's Tree Service is the way to go. If you use Knockouts and Three Counts, Ace will hook you up. He's a big sponsor of a lot of the fighters around here in the Michigan area. So before we get through here, check out this video. Check out some of the services they got. The links to that are all in the description. And while you're at it, why don't you check out some of that merch over at millions.co. In the meantime and in the in-between time, enjoy the show. All right.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got it, the new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
And just like that, it is another Thursday, and it's almost time for Circle 6 to make their return to Detroit. But like I said, we've got a debut on the show tonight. We've got the debut of the Bev, Bobby Beverly. We appreciate the time. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good. What's up, guys? Happy to be here. Talking about some stuff.
Hell yeah, man. We can't complain here in Detroit. It was 60 in this bitch in February. So I am all right. It is a good day here in the city of Detroit. I will take it. I wasn't freezing my balls
on, dog. I'm wearing shorts right now over here. You can't see it, and they ain't boxer shorts, but I got shorts on. It's great today.
No, I looked at the weather. It said it was going to be 22 when we get in there. Is that real? 22 low?
Hey, don't say that.
Welcome.
Don't say that. Right now it's 60, okay?
Welcome to that Michigan lifestyle.
We got to take
it'll
it.
be 60. I mean, honestly, we're supposed to be warm again tomorrow, but come Saturday, it'll probably be low 40s, maybe 38, something like that again. So.
Yeah, Michigan's got the most bipolar weather of any
like
state
Monday and Tuesday or something. You know, we're gonna go sledding on Tuesday.
Mike don't know that summer 50 short weather out in Ohio, Michigan. You don't have a clue.
Hell yeah, man. You already know. Being in Ohio, I know it ain't much different, even though we got quite the – you got to tell me, though, are you a Buckeyes guy? That's the question.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Damn it. 100%. Damn it. I thought we could be friends, but we can't be friends because he's a fucking Buckeye. Damn it. But with that being said, we've got plenty to talk about tonight with Circle 6 making their way back here to Detroit. Bobby, before we get into that, man, we just talked with Dale Patrick, who I know you're going to be going to war with on Friday before y'all get to Detroit on Sunday. With that being said, let's talk about that a little bit first. Talk to me about Barroom Blitz. You've got quite the weekend because as we're going to get into about what's going on here in Detroit, you're going to be taking on Drake Younger here. But before we get there, talk to me a little bit about Barroom Blitz and Dale Patrick's.
So the Barroom Blitz, obviously, there's a lot of no ring, stuff going on everywhere. I feel like Barroom Blitz stands out a little bit more, that it's more unique in the with bands, with fun. It's still hardcore, it's still crazy, it's still violent. I know personally for myself, whether it's a bar fight or a death match, I don't approach it no different. I don't go at it no different. I'm going in fully. They're gonna let me play around. I'm gonna play around. I'm gonna bleed. I'm gonna do my thing. And you said talking about Dale. Dale's a homie. I love Dale. I've championed Dale from day one. Pushed hard for him here in Circle 6. And what I like about Dale a lot is me and him. It's almost like looking at yourself in the mirror. We're both very similar. We're both very I don't know. I think we both got a lot of stress and anxiety that we let come into turn into violence, and that's our way to get it out. So when we can do it against each other, it's just a fun. It's a blast. He's one of my favorite people to work with. I'm looking really forward to it on what's that, Friday, Mike?
Friday. Yeah. Friday.
There we go. Yeah, Friday.
Mike, what about you, man? What are your thoughts on that match at Barroom Blitz, man?
Honestly, I love watching. I'm a big fan of Dale. Obviously, Bobby is a huge part of Circle Six. Dale has become a huge part of Circle Six. Those two, Dale's proven time and time again he's somebody who just like does not give a fuck. Like he will go out there and put 110% every single time, and sometimes to his detriment, like you talked about with him on his show when he shouldn't have, But man's got no limitations, so. Anytime you could put him in there with Bobby, I would like to see that match on every show almost if it's possible, because I feel like those are two guys that are just always going to give you an insane performance.
Can't argue that. J-Bone, we had the show with Dale. What are your thoughts on this match, man? I definitely feel like we're going to have to check this out. Obviously, it's a little bit before we get here, but that sounds like a banger to me.
Violence. There's going to be blood. And a Barroom Blitz. That's my kind of night, dude. So I'm trying to check that out.
So you got to tell me, Mike, are you going to do it old New Jack style, and we're going to have Barroom Blitz playing while they're fighting?
Dude, we had there will be a time where that does happen. We're saving that for a very unique experience that we're hopefully going to do later on in the year. But yeah, there's gonna be one that'll probably get so out of hand that maybe we won't be able to run it at that place again. So yeah, we'll see. You'll know when that time's going to come. It'll be blatantly obvious.
He said grand opening, grand closing. But before we get to that, Bobby, one of the things that a lot of people like from our chat with Dale is just getting into what attracted you to the whole deathmatch scene in the first place. Like with Dale, we talked a lot about how he crosses back and forth between regular wrestling and the deathmatch wrestling and stuff like that. For you, what were some of the influences and what attracted you over to the deathmatch side, as you've now been called probably the best deathmatch wrestler in the world?
I guess a lot of guys with my age, I'm 36, something like that, would say a lot of guys say the same thing. Kind of starts with ECW, I guess. I'm a huge wrestling fan my whole life, but once I discovered ECW, it wasn't even like the violence factor of ECW. Even deathmatch, it's not the violence factor for me. It's how real it is. It started to get hard to sell wrestling because everybody knows everything. There's a lot of contrived, overdone spots. Not hating on any of it. I want to be able to see something that's real. Blood's real. You get hit with light tubes, that's real. I mean, there's nothing that I do in the ring that I feel like is fake or not to my fullest. We might know how to protect each other a bit, but the ECW style, it just sucked the crowd in. It kind of beat, I guess, the kayfabe of it all. You just believed in it fully. And the passion that those people have at those shows, it's the same as like the deathmatch shows. The fans are like the best fans I've ever worked in front of. They have a passion for it. They travel. I grew up playing football, baseball, sports, so I was always competing. I needed to do something. Eventually got into wrestling. And then deathmatch has been what I've wanted to do my entire career. I've been wrestling like since 2007. I was trained by Johnny Gargano and just did a lot of fucking wrestling everywhere, all over the country. Never quite like got where I wanted to, but it was because I really wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be a deathmatch wrestler, and it's crazy that it took like 13 years or some shit like that. But I can honestly say, which isn't a good thing, it's probably to my detriment, I never emailed a promoter for a booking in my career.
Really?
Yeah, it was just word of mouth. My friends would drag me along. Hey, you got to throw Bev on the show. Like, he's a good hand or he's the man, whatever. Give me a few shows and I feel like I can win you over. So I never really pushed for it. So once I got brought into it and the opportunity, I was like, I ain't going to let this go. And I just took all those years of just learning and wrestling, and I just put that into a death match. Like I tell people all the time, deathmatch wrestling to me, some people say it started with FMW or Anita or Funk Foley stuff or Bruiser Brody, whatever, Memphis wrestling. For me, it's like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Terry Funk. People believed in that so much, and all they did was punch and bleed. and they could do it for 60 minutes, but like everyone was just sucked into it because it was so believable. That to me, that's where deathmatch wrestling started, and that's what it is now. It's the most realistic version of pro wrestling that you could get. And you might think it's stupid and crazy, but if you start to watch it, you're gonna continue to watch. You know what I mean? Like even if you hate it, you're like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. You ain't gonna turn away from it because it's real. And that's, I don't know, like it's just, I love it because it's like the oldest form of wrestling. It's just working to me.
So before I ask you a question off of what you just said, Corey, talk to me a little bit about that. As for those that are new to our show also covers combat sports, and Corey comes more from the combat sports side of things. But we've integrated Corey not only to the pro wrestling scene, but the deathmatch scene. He was there with us with our homies at RPW, where we just had a show in a damn skate park. So with that being said, you being the non-wrestling guy, bro, you gotta tell me, now that we've integrated the deathmatch stuff, what are your thoughts, man? And how are you feeling headed into Harpo's?
Yeah, thanks for the squeeze, because I was looking for my point to fit in with that, because I felt like
I've done this before.
Yeah, it did kind of lead right into what I was going to say, and that is, it's true as a casual viewer. Like you say, I might not be tuned into wrestling on a day-to-day, weekly basis or anything like that, other than covering it for the show and stuff like that. But whenever you're in attendance for one of those events, yeah, good luck. Especially if you've had a couple drinks in the system. I'll have me 3 or 4 beers while I go catch that nice, and it's impossible to look away. I got a big smile on my face. I'm like, what the fuck are they,
Right.
And you get that feeling. To your point, it's like the old adage of like, if there was a fight to break out anywhere, you're going to watch type of thing. And it intensifies that feeling times 10, like you were saying earlier, with the inclusion of all the weapons and stuff that you guys bring to the arsenal, I guess you could say.
It's like your closest to like a real barroom fight.
Go ahead.
You know what I mean? It's like the closest you're gonna get to an actual street fight, but it's all legal, baby. You ain't going to jail for this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I like to compare it to like MMA, cage fighting.
Hell yeah.
Like that UFC. Like, I was a big Pride guy way back in the day, but Pride was more violent. It was crazier. They let him get away with a lot of like crazy stuff. And
I love the Pride did.
UFC just kind of like played off of that, and it became kind of a thing. But really, until like the Ultimate Fighter, I felt like it didn't really like blow up. But that show, getting invested in those guys, and then that fight, the Stephen Bonner Forrest Griffin fight was so violent that it just, I think it set UFC up to really, to be where it is now. And so like, it's obviously they're completely, different, but I think they're similar in that field. That's why I think MMA is so big and popular, because it's the most violent sport, like real sport that we have. And, deathmatch or whatever you want to call it is the most violent version of pro wrestling. And if you do it right, like I think a lot of people are starting to do now, you can see where it's getting more and more popular,
A lot of it too is the evolution of it as well, because you're having people that, like, if you go back and you watch early CZW stuff, you can see the form evolve, right? Like you can see those hybrid wrestlers kind of come through, like guys like Drake and Scotty Vortex and Danny Havoc's, those guys coming in and evolving, introducing more real like traditional wrestling with deathmatch elements. You're getting less of just pure violence and more violence incorporated into this art form.
Yeah, those guys, those great, amazing technical wrestlers, those top guys, they're not still getting that same feeling until they actually step out there and they bleed and they fight and they go ultra violent or deathmatch style. That's why I think you see so many of those guys eventually lead to having a death match or a crazy hardcore match, ultra violent match, because they gotta get a little taste of that, a little bit of feel of that, the blood on your face, and that crowd just completely bought into what you're doing. I don't know, it's special to me. It gives me superpowers, like bleeding and shit. It's weird. Like, I ain't never felt weird about having blood all over me. The more I bleed, the better I feel. It's probably not good. I'll probably, pass out in the ring or some shit, but I don't know. I feel better
It's like
when I'm
the old
bleeding.
saying from fighting. I mean, like we talk about on the show all the time, I was a wrestling fan first, but I come from a boxing background myself. I've got a purple belt in jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And it's like the old saying, I can't tell you how many times I've been out there for fights and been out there with people in their corner. And it's always something like the old saying, like, once you see the color, taste your own blood or see your own blood on your face and you're in the middle of a fight, it's like the old saying, you get two thoughts, either back the hell up or get the hell in. So it's, there's no way else to really explain that. But with that said, you led right into it. I got to ask, man, you say that you were an MMA UFC fan, man. How much do you get to keep up with it these days? And is there anybody that in particular that you're a fan of watching?
I got away from it for a while. I'm trying to get back into it now. I think it, good or bad, UFC's kind of, just kind of let loose, like went wild. Like they're just letting everybody do what they want. And then you have your opinion and you choose your side. And it's just like this crazy amalgam of political fucking views. And it's just, it's insane right now. Like it's super fun to watch. It's kind of like wrestling in a way, because instead of like hindering guys and you can't bring a flag out and you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do this. Now these guys are being themselves, but it's creating characters in a way. They're not just, come to the ring, quiet, do your job, make your money, go home. They're letting them loose, let them do whatever they want. I like that Sean Strickland, even, I don't know how people feel about him, but not a lot of like what he says or does. Like, it's just the way he approaches, and everything, just chill, laid back. He loves to fight, says what's on his mind, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't agree with like a lot of the stuff he says, but I just like his approach to living and fighting. I'm kind of similar in a way when it comes to deathmatch. Like I have to do it. It's what keeps me alive. Like lets me just live, really. Like I always say this, I live to die, but it's like that's legit. That's me. That's all. That's my life. Like if I can't go out there and bleed and get beat up and then feel like I was in a war the next day, I might as well be dead. It's crazy.
That's a hard fucking guy to beat. Come Harpos.
Yeah.
For any of the uninitiated fight fans, yeah, that's the perfect comparison is Sean Strickland. Like you said, the man lives to get into that ring and put on his performances. So
right.
Yeah, I mean,
kill or be killed,
right.
Dude. That's what it
you can't legally kill a man, so he, in the cage, he might be able to one day, and that's what he wants to do. It's crazy, but that's
all
what he
right.
lives for.
So since you mentioned Strickland, though, I have to ask you because it's another thing that we talk about on this show too, and it's something that I've said for a while. For a while, it was getting to the point where MMA was doing pro wrestling better than pro wrestling was doing pro wrestling with guys like Conor McGregor and all the shit talking, and like you said, the press conferences. They had so much heat around those fights, and everybody wanted to see those fights. You got to tell me, though, since you said you're a Strickland guy, what are your thoughts on the way all that played out, man? Because they had the big brawl in the crowd, and then the next thing you know, they're on embedded like, oh, it's all good, bro. I hope we have a good fight. I was like, God damn it. You were just fighting like 24 hours ago, dude. And now we're going into the fight, and we're best friends. What the fuck?
Yeah, it does make you kind of think about that for sure. It kind of did. It changed my opinion a little bit just thinking about it. Like, man, it had to be somewhat set up, wrestling style. You know what I mean? I mean, he congratulated him after he beat him, but then he wanted to put in there. I still think I got it. You know what I mean? Like, and then you got Dana White saying one thing, and these people. Yeah. So now they get set up. They're South African fight, and then he can come back. They're just telling stories.
Bro, there's definitely a level of setup there for that type of stuff. You got to sell that fight, but also I think the one thing you got to remember too with these guys is they spend years and years and years like crafting their art and like on a strict regimen to like learn this and become like get to that level. So no matter how much animosity you have towards anybody, there's that base level of respect when you're going to war like that, right? 100%. So you don't really no matter what shit you're going to talk beforehand. At the end of it, you kind of settle it, right? Like, you're still in there doing business and you have that base level of respect. Very rarely do you ever see it get like like truly hateful personal in that.
Yeah,
in that
we
world,
talk
you know?
about that all the time, Kyle, on the show. We always want to, like, we love the trash talk, but you always want to respect the art of what they're doing. The fighting. At the end of the day, there's two men in there or women going to war, and that's the oldest form of battle. You know what I mean? So if you can respect the art, like I dig, like you remember DC and John Jones, Conor McGregor, Khabib, respected it, man, because that shit talked me into the building pretty much. And
we
at the
just
end of the
talked
day,
about
they
that
shook
with
hands.
Julius Creed from WWE. He was still that fight was how many years ago? He helped DC train for that. And still to this day, when I just interviewed him in Tampa at the Royal Rumble, guy said, dude, John Jones is still a piece of shit. I helped DC train for that fight and the Stipe fight, and he went in on John Jones, and that was how many years ago?
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, man, that stuff's definitely got weight in it, and it definitely helps build a match. You know, we talk about rivalries, man. You know, you being part of 440 and all that stuff, you know, with you doing what you did in your run in the King of the Deathmatch tournament and all that kind of stuff. You know, you got to mix it up with another guy who you have history with and is also a past guest of the show, and Atticus Kogar. So talk to me about that with 440, because out of all the groups I've seen in my time in wrestling, y'all scrap with each other more than most groups I've ever seen. So talk to me about King of the Deathmatch, and what are your thoughts on the current state of the whole 440 deal?
I think we scrap with each other because it is like a family in a lot of ways. We spend a lot of time together. The base of 4 of the 6, or however, I don't even know how many are in 440 anymore, but we all came up together. I mean, we trained almost together. We wrestled at the same places. We were on the roads for years prior. Me, Eric, Ricky were in a group together at one time prior to 440, and me and Eric were a team, and I wrestled Greg 1,000 times when we started. So there's just kind of like a brotherhood about it. But I mean, me and Justice talk about a lot, you know, the lifers and what we do. It's not even that we're like a tag team or we have someone come in and we be a group. We're just homies. We're best friends. We're bros. And I think a lot of people would attest to say that, you know, you'll fight your brother and you'll fight him harder than you'll fight anybody else. Like, you know your brother is going to take it and you're going to take it, and may the best man win. So I think a lot of times that's what the 440, why we fight each other a lot. That and then competition also. I mean, Eric's won 2 kings, Addie's a prince. You know, Ricky's won a king at a tournament. I've won a king at tournament of death. So, you know, he might be your boy, but you still want to strive to be the best guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy for my brother to be better than me, but if I can get there and pass up one of my homies, then I would hope they'd be happy for me too. So we never really have any problem fighting each other. And the state of the 440, yeah, I've been kind of distanced from it a little bit. Really heavy with Circle 6, running with my brother Matt. And not for any particular reason or anything. I just been trying to build the Bev. I came in late to the group. People didn't know who I was. I think I really, you know, I'm the ultraviolet enforcer. I think I definitely proved the point of why I was brought in 440, the enforcer of 440, like almost like a heater. Like, they need me to like take care of somebody or deal with somebody in this match or this multi-man. Like, you got to get with this guy. I'm the guy, you know. And I think my role, even going forward, is someone said it online one time. They're like, Bev, what I like about Bev is he can wrestle on a show without 440, and I don't think about 440. Where maybe that's not so much with, you know, some of the other people. I see it, and the dude said something like, I see him more like the big brother. You know, he's with them, not always, but if they call him, he'll go, he'll show up, he'll take care of business, and then I'll go back to doing my thing. And that's kind of how I've always kind of envisioned myself. I've just spent a lot of time on the road, a lot of time getting kind of beating myself down. That's something like me and Dale really like click on, is we beat ourselves down a lot in our careers, long careers, really never give ourselves credit. So to finally start to get credit and do things and win big things and be considered one of the best, hopefully, I can't stop. You know, I don't know when it'll stop, how, you know, if it'll be age, injury, death, probably death, you know, but I can't stop till hopefully, like, most people, you know, consider me one of the best or the best. That's, you know, not everyone's ever going to have the same opinion, but if I can get some opinions from people that say I'm the best, then I ain't going to stop till I'm there, you know.
Well, man, you've already done a good job of cementing, you know, a name for yourself and doing that with what we talked about through the King of the Deathmatch tournament. And before we came on here, I was rewatching the Sickest of the Six. With the way that you got to finish out 2023, how do you feel that that's prepared you for 2024 and what's about to start off with Circle Six with Barroom Blitz and what we're going to see here in Detroit?
Huge. I mean, I think I'm more prepared going into a new year, new season, whatever you call it, than ever. Circle Six gave me the opportunity to month after month, main event, big match. I got to really get involved in trying to like plan and figure out, like, we had a goal to not just have death matches, not just have a main event death match. It's me against some guy I've never wrestled before or fought before, whatever. We wanted to start presenting the main events as these main events, as these big matches with these cool setups, with these cool designs. And me and Mike, I feel like, really put all that together for the most part. You know, if I had an idea, a vision, he was all on board, and vice versa. And I think 2023, if people paid attention and watched it, almost every main event of any of those shows was unique, something special setup wise. A couple crazy big moves, some giftable moments. So I think that really built the momentum to King of the Death, and then I feel like we killed it at King of the Death. 2024, I think I'm ready. Circle Six is ready. I think we're ready for a big year.
Hell yeah, man. Mike, what do you got to say about that? I mean, you know, you being the brains behind all this stuff, talk to me about his run through King of the Death match, what we saw with Sickest of the Six, and what you're kind of expecting as we go into 2024.
2023 was a really kind of unique year because we shifted gears a lot comparatively to the way 22 ended. You know, watching Bobby grow and be able to finish off the year in such a strong way was probably one of the best things I've gotten to experience in my career. We've had it's been a really unique experience being able to like create with him and come up with these ideas, and not just for him, like the thought is being put in between us across the board for everybody, from Dale to Otis to Oren to the match we had with Akira in LA, that main evented, every aspect of anything that is ultra violence in the company has a level of like care and thought that gets put into it, that I don't know if all of it translates across the way we intend it to, but I think that at least everybody that's involved in those situations feels that uniqueness. I think King of the Death match, aside from the presentation, aside from the way it looked comparative to other deathmatch tournaments that had come out in the year, I think my one takeaway from it, and I think Bobby would agree with me on this, is that no matter what round you were in, how far you made it, what match you had, anybody that was on that show, there was a place built for them for more than enhancing somebody to move forward. Like, I think whether you won or lost, you came out of that with something unique that it was memorable. I mean, you look at the kind of pushback that we got publicly, even when like we announced Adam Priest, for that show. But like, I think that performance put Adam Priest in front of a lot of people that normally would not have seen him, and it showed that he could hang in that atmosphere. It's you see someone like Journey Fatu, who is very unique in the deathmatch world, being like the only deathmatch Samoan family member that's out there doing it, and at a high level, is constantly going 110% and hanging with the top of the top in the industry, and we're doing our best to tailor these situations and give people the opportunity to showcase themselves in the most unique fashion, where it does not feel like they're just there for the sake of blood. You know, they have the ability to shine and show their strengths and where they belong in this industry.
Yeah, I truly believe in the deathmatch wrestling community. I want it to grow. I want it to become the best that it can be. I want to help build it. I'm an old man. I ain't going to be around a whole lot longer. Any success that I can have, I want to be able to use that to build up other talents, just to continue to build up deathmatch, to keep it going, keep it fresh, and just make it something special. I love it, and I don't want to ever see it like decline again like it did for a lot of years. I want to see it continue to build and hopefully become something mainstream at one point where at least it's accepted, and maybe it's got a national audience, whether it's something huge or crazy, but it's there. And I don't know. I just try to help build every guy and every, like, Sickest of the Six. That was my idea. I came up with it. I wasn't even in the tournament. And the way we laid it out, Ultraviolet Kumite, like, I'm essentially winning the match, but I created a match for my opponent who never came in. And then I told him, like, that's your match, bro. Like, take it anywhere you want. Like, I'm not Ultraviolet. I'm not Kumite. Like, that's Akira's thing. And then I think we had a real special match. I think a lot of that was credited to catering to him as he's coming in and make something special that's unique for him. And then, like Mike said about King of the Death, we tried to, I don't know if a lot of people noticed that are seeing it, but we tried to have every single guy come out of that with something. Most deathmatch tournaments, you might know who won, remember who won. Nobody remembers who lost most of the time. Nobody remembers who took the fall in the final. They just remember who held the trophy up. So we went out of our way to try to present it and build it up enough that every guy came out of it better.
Can't argue that.
I mean, there's also, just to throw one other thing out there, because you brought up Sickest of the Six, like Bobby's idea of, like, for this tournament, the amount of care that get even put into that one, which was just a 6-man tournament. Bobby will remember how many times we sat and reworked every round with every possible matchup, with every possible stipulation to ensure that whatever we could come up with, whether people thought it was the best or not, was the best that we thought it could be.
Absolutely. Last time we were at Reggie's, Chicago, I'm a huge fan of Orin. I always champion Orin. I think I've had some of my best, if not best, matches, death matches, just overall, any kind of match with him. And as soon as I knew that we were going to be able to do something, I hit him up and I was like, hey, Salt Driver through the ring, painted glass, tear it up. If I get hurt, I get hurt. You know what I mean? But I just knew it was a special moment, jiffable thing that could help us both out, So I wasn't worried about if I got hurt or not, fuck it, let's go. It'll be cool.
That's a guy who I was really new to prior to watching that tournament, man, and somebody I definitely am looking forward to seeing more of. Another guy that you got to go to war with and have gone to war with multiple times who was in that tournament as well. Donald already beat me to it, is another guy from here in Detroit. Our guy, Tommy Vendetta. So talk to me a little bit about your wars with one Thomas Oliver Vendetta.
That's I think that's my forever enemy, for just never ending. Michigan, Ohio. But what's cool about it is we get along just absolutely great. You know what I mean? I love him. I love Darren. Tommy's probably the easiest, smoothest, funnest guy to be in the ring with, that I get in the ring with. It, like, we don't got to talk about much. We're gonna go out there and just amp it up and fucking go crazy and have a great match, not just like a death match. Like, we're gonna go out there and have a insane great wrestling match, and then add the elements into it. I talked about Dale having, like, great chemistry and some of the best matches in Orin, but Tommy's probably at the top of the list. I think Darren's even, like, he's talked to us both about it, like, kind of like some of his hockey rivals, and he's like, you guys are like me and this guy, like, you'll drink some beers after the show and fucking have a good time, but out in front of the crowd, you're gonna go out there and just beat the shit out of each other and just have this amazing chemistry. I'll go to war with Vendetta any day of the week. I pushed you Circle 6 to bring him in, and that's when we brought him out to LA, and I was like, man, just bring him in, you'll see. And we went pretty crazy, did some stupid shit out there, so I can't wait to work with him again.
Dude. It's a bad dude right
Absolutely.
there.
Mike, you got any thoughts on Tommy Vendetta?
Yeah, dude, I love Vendetta. Bev 100% pushed for him to come out. His first show with us was a very unorthodox show. It was our Poor Kids Mansion show in a backyard, in a dirt lot. And, you know, if anybody has followed us, we do a bunch of really weird, obscure venues, weird shows in crazy places, parking lots. And Tommy fit right in like a glove. Like, he fit in with the locker room. He went 110% in every match. Dude's a pleasure to be around. You know, we wanted to have him when we were in Detroit, and I'm happy he's in the UK and doing his thing. And when we get back, next opportunity that presents itself, you know, obviously we always want to have him around whenever possible.
Yeah, but the best thing you said there is he's a good dude. I mean, we just want good dudes around. You know, ultimately, anybody that I try to pitch or bring in, I feel like they're always top notch, good dudes. You know, that's all I want to be around. Those are the type of guys I want to build up.
I can't say anything but that. Darren McCarty and Tommy have both been well, Tommy's been with us since the very beginning. Darren's a big supporter of this show as well. Shout out to DMAC. Going out to UK with Tommy and another one in Detroit's own, Malcolm Monroe III. So shout out to them as they head over to the UK. The Process, another one of our guys from here in Detroit. But another name that both of you guys have brought up, and we talked about him a little bit on our show with KG the other day, is in another match that I'm looking forward to as it comes in here into Detroit. What are your guys' thoughts on Otis Kogar versus Remington Roar? I feel like this match is going to be badass. And after I saw like a big chunk of Otis's elbow hanging out at the skate park, I feel like this match could get gnarly real quick and in a hurry. What do you guys think on this one headed into Detroit?
I'll say this. I feel like one of the best things and worst things ever that I've thought of was telling Otis that he should swing a chair very aggressively, and we'll call his matches blunt force trauma, because I feel like it's done a lot of fucking unnecessary damage around the world at this point. But I also love to see it. I know the fans love to see it, and these guys are just ready to, you know, swing for the fences. And if anybody remembers, Remington's the chair shot he gave Remington last time in Chicago.
I just saw that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's guaranteed to be uncomfortable to watch at some point.
Yeah,
it's like KG said, it was a damn gunshot.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's violence, ultra violence, and then there's dangerous, and those two guys are dangerous. So I work with them any day of the week, but I don't look forward to them most of the time. Those guys are some bad dudes.
Hell of a comment. Most underrated wrestler out there. I know I'm looking forward to seeing what can happen with this. They didn't they weren't fighting each other at the show I was speaking about with the skate park with our homies over at Ruthless Pro, but man, they both got at it that night. And pretty much every time I've seen Remington Roar, it's been that. Every time I've seen Otis, it's been that. And the fact that he's already going to be back around here and ready to go after what we saw the last time he was here in Detroit. Dude is a savage. You
brought up Bobby and Dale, like those two wrestling. There's certain matchups that are out there that it doesn't matter how many times you run this. You go in city to city, even if it's in the same city, certain people, you could probably watch them wrestle 10, 12, 15 times. They're going to give you something unique and memorable every time. This would fall in the category that I can see these two having 4 or 5 more matches together around the country as we travel, you know.
Yeah,
bloodier and bloodier, baby. Bloodier and bloodier. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Well, with that said, man, we got to talk about your match here in Detroit, man. We got to talk about you versus Drake Younger, which when we had Mike on to talk about Sickest to the Sixth, that had a lot of people talking. And I've already seen some of the boo birds that have come out with that match as far as what's coming for Detroit. So before I get Mike's take on it, I want to hear it from you. What are your thoughts on the return of Drake Younger out to the deathmatch scene, and what are your thoughts on facing him at Circle 6 here in Detroit?
Well, I'll start with just Drake Younger on the deathmatch scene as a wrestler. I think currently, even in the short time that he's been back and then hurt and then back, just overall, he's probably still the best deathmatch wrestler on the planet. I mean, I don't know anyone that can touch him in the ring. Just cardio, fitness, violence, uniqueness, just technical. He has it all. And every time I watch him, I'm blown away by just the matches that he puts together. They're just, I don't know. It's like he paints a masterpiece almost every time, and you're not even expecting it a lot of times. I don't know if some people are paying attention, which unfortunately is a shame. But so like wrestling wise, deathmatch wise, I'm looking forward to it. I want to test myself. I ain't gonna be nowhere near this man's fitness level, but hopefully, I don't think he can match my violence level. That's at least what I'm hoping. So I think me and Drake is hopefully going to be a special matchup that maybe we can run back again and do it even crazier and bigger before he eventually is done. I'm super excited. He's one of the guys that I wanted to work with. I had like a list when I started of some of these guys from the past that I that were still active, semi-active, that I had to be in the ring with, and I've got almost all of them. Like Necro and Schlack and to even Toby Klein. I never had a death match with him, but like locally, we used to wrestle on some shows after he was kind of done with CZW, and we did, ran a feud and stuff, even Brain Damage. Like I got to become friends with those guys. So I've kind of crossed all the guys off the list besides Drake, and then there's one that just won't work out for whatever reason. That's Pondo, Madman Pondo, but we'll get to that. But to
The year
circle
is
back,
young.
right, yeah. But to circle back to Drake and to just I guess just get into it. I'll say when it comes to Drake, I knew Drake 10, 15 years ago. He used to come to Cleveland a lot. I wrestled up at AIW in Cleveland for years, and I traveled on the roads a lot with Gargano and some other guys. And I was really in the background of a lot of stuff for years, like all the original Dragon Gate shows, ROH, HDNet era, the CZW stuff at the time when Drake was like champ, and then the Golden Boy stuff, basically until he like went out to the West Coast or whatever. So I knew him for a long time, and I will say that the Drake that I knew then was pretty much consensus, possibly the best dude that people knew in wrestling. I mean, just like the nicest guy, the best dude, great wrestler, like always had a smile on his face, always laughing, always just happy to be there. And the Drake that I know now is exactly the same guy. There's no difference. I don't know the in between. I wasn't there. I wasn't around. But the Drake that I knew in the past and the Drake that I know now is a great guy, amazing father. Just overall, just the same good dude. So I can't really speak on like anything in between. I can just what I know and what I see. I've looked into stuff, read stuff. I don't know with anything's like proven facts, anything, people's opinions or their opinion. There's a lot of weird shit that happens in life. You know, life's a crazy winding road. A lot of shit happens. A lot of people do strange things sometimes, and it's not even always even really it's your decision, but a lot of times it's influenced by a lot of outside factors. But I didn't see anything like proof wise of anything crazy or bad or whatever. And I just know the man that I've known, and he's always been a great guy. And I know how good of a deathmatch wrestler is. And even if he's not wrestling on our cards, I mean, there's no one better to have around to just help young deathmatch guys. I mean, myself, just to teach and to, I don't. It's nothing but a plus for me to have him around. So I'm hoping that we can continue to keep him around and don't have to, part ways at some point over some stuff that I don't know anything about.
I respect that because that's always been our motto as far as the show goes. I mean, as far as I deal with people based on how they've treated me, I deal with, and that goes for wrestlers, fighters, whatever. My own relations with somebody are basically how I've always dealt with things because, depending upon what situation that you meet somebody in, like what you said, you knew Drake long before all this other stuff happened. You don't know what happened in the in-between. I've seen a lot of that. Like I said, I came up in a different game, in the fight game, and you hear, oh, this guy's a dickhead because he trained here and he was an asshole here and whatever. especially doing this show and talking to so many different people from so many different walks of life, if we based everything we hear about somebody off of what we hear on social media and all those things, it's easy to form an opinion. So that's always been our mode of operation as far as that stuff goes too, and dealing with people based on what we see as well. With that being said, Mike, what about you, man? I know the last time we talked about Sickest of the Six, a lot of people were picking it up when you were bringing on Drake for that show. What are your thoughts on having him being more of an integral part here with Circle Six and his return here in Detroit? What up, though?
Yeah.
Make sure you like the stream and hit that subscribe button. Get us to 1,200.
Anybody that watched the last time we talked about it, I pretty much said there's almost the same thing I'm going to say now. As far as when I first met him, I went into the situation only knowing him from what I had heard about him, on the internet. And I didn't think that him and I would have any common ground to communicate or be in the same thought, like in of the same mind. You start to get to know somebody, and also to that point, anybody that works for us or has worked for us or is a part of any of the creative process and is around us knows that Circle Six isn't a company that somebody makes a decision and says this is what's going to happen and it just happens. Bobby, as good as anybody will know, anytime there's a thought of bringing someone new in or a change or something that could be controversial in any way, those ideas are passed around not just our office but locker room, and we're vibing out each person's opinion and comfort level and what's worth doing and what is not worth doing. I know we've taken a lot of negativity over the last 2 years from people for various decisions. But I think every decision that we make on who we're going to work with is calculated based on learning about the person and having firsthand experience with them before having somebody get involved with the company. And then when they are here, they're making their own decisions. We back them while they're here, but if they're making poor choices while they're a part of the company, that doesn't mean that we're going to support them past that. We're just giving an opportunity. That being said, we talked before Sickest of the Six. During that show, we have a very diverse locker room. We have a very diverse ring crew for every city that we go to, people that help us out. Drake was there when I showed up to the building for the ring to get set up, worked with our ring crew, was very well received in the locker room, was very respectful, never had any issues. Same with LA. Same with any show that he's been on with us. He's, in my opinion, from what I've seen, gone above and beyond to not make anybody feel unwelcome or uncomfortable. If there are those issues, if somebody feels that way, he's been 100% open to talk about it. And there's people that will probably listen to this that I've talked to and told them, hey, if you have an issue, go talk to him. Figure it out yourself. Don't listen to what you're hearing on the internet. My frustration starts to sit in and kind of come in because we continuously take a lot of heat. We don't like, for example, we don't block comments on social media. We'll let people say whatever they want to say. If we're going to not have somebody on the card or we're going to cut ties with somebody, we're going to say it. And we're going to stand by our decision. If we're going to bring somebody on board, we're not going to hide them on a poster and not announce it. We're not going to do any bullshit. We'll tell you, like, this is our stance. This is what we're going behind, and we're going to do it. It is annoying to me that everybody else, to a degree, will get passes. Bigger companies will get passes. So it's like you'll just take somebody off a card, not announce why you're cutting ties, and just move on, and that's good enough. But it's not. Like, that type of stuff's not good enough. If you believe in something or you think something's real, don't make it a business thing. You're not working with somebody out of personal belief, right? And if it's personal belief, stand by your decision. Don't hide. And I think something we've done is anytime there's been an issue, we've addressed it. We've talked about it. There was an issue with the Drake thing. What did I do? I came on here and I spoke with you guys about it. Those clips are out there. Though that interview was picked up. And then on top of that, Drake, even beyond what he needed to do to a degree, released a statement and apologized for anything that could have been looked at in such a negative manner, and the things that he did say in associations that were negative in his life, and acknowledge that he wants to change. When those changes, when somebody wants to change and is growing from it, this isn't a person who is a physically abusive human, that was a violent human, was a predator. These are thoughts that you can learn and grow from. And the fact that this community doesn't want to allow certain people to grow and change and prove that they can be better. If you're a public figure, how are you supposed to prove that you're better by not doing it publicly? If you've grown behind the scenes enough to be able to be a better person in front of it, we can give you an opportunity to show that, and then that's on you if that sticks.
Right.
You know.
Well, and Mike knows I'll give him my opinion. I'll go back and forth. I'm argue. Obviously, some people don't deserve to grow. That's just and
I agree.
So
I agree with you on that. Some people don't.
There's one good thing I think I have noticed, and I think the honesty and the transparency from Circle 6 is made this kind of this shift. I have noticed a lot lately of like, I don't support Drake Younger being on the show. I'm not going to come or whatever, but I support Circle 6. That wasn't something that I think we had in the beginning. So I do think the honesty and the transparency, people aren't necessarily just shitting on the product or whatever. They just, it's your right to have an opinion, and it might be the right opinion, honestly. You know what I mean? So 100%. I am glad to actually see that shift a little bit, though, that people are still supporting the product, even if they don't support a certain person. But that goes to show that maybe
that's
that
growth,
person, isn't what people think they are, because there's no proof on anything, and the people that know them and the people in the locker room have no issues, and think that they're good with those people. But I do like that. I do like that.
Somebody should not be given a pass just because they've been given an opportunity to be better. Let that be proven. And if you don't want to support that person, it's 100% understandable. What I'm saying is that if you know that these other people that are involved with a company are still continuing to stay, like if you notice, like we'll bring people in, nobody leaves. The locker room's not separating. We're not having people suddenly not show up because of decisions that are being made. So we're standing unified in these decisions. And if you know the other people enough to trust that we're giving it an opportunity, you're not saying you need to trust this person right away that's in there. Let them prove what they're out there to prove and show that change. But don't write off a company. Just don't say, I'm not going to support that person.
Right. Now that person shows no growth, or something comes out negative, or some facts come out over some not so good stuff.
Exactly.
Mike knows I'll be the first one to walk out. Like if they did continue to work with somebody, there was a little bit of stuff early with XPW and stuff, and I was like, if we do anything else, I'm out. Like I'm not supporting this no more. And I even worked there for a time. And it was just over some things I didn't agree with. So, and I think a lot of the guys are like that, and I think that's where seeing a guy like Drake or whatever, hopefully people are willing to give him that opportunity, that chance to really see the real person, because everyone in our locker room is like that. If someone's not growing, or someone's not showing their true colors, or they show their true colors and they're negative, we're gonna bounce if something doesn't get changed. We're like a family at Circle 6. Truly, like it's great when we get to all come together, and just it's a big family reunion every month or so.
I like it, man. Like I said, I can't argue that. I mean, that's the way we've always kind of looked at things as far as dealing with people based on our own dealings and actions and the things that we've seen from people. So I can't not respect that, dude. Like I said, that's why I wanted to give Mike the platform when all that news first came out, because I know my own dealings with Circle 6. And so far, I have nothing. There you go. There it is in the comments.
There
Mike's
it is.
Always been honest with the fans, so we owe them the chance to believe what he is telling us fans. I can't argue with that.
Will you highlight that one above about the disco ball for me, Kyle?
I was going to get to that. We've got a few questions in the comments that we'll put out there. But Sam also chiming in on YouTube. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button and all that stuff. Get us to 1,200. But with that said, the Sickest of the Six was the first show I watched the Circle 6 and been rooting for them ever since. That was a hell of a show to check out. Can't argue that one. All right, so we've got a couple questions for you in the comments. We'll start with the funny ones. Will the disco ball be on the floor for the show? What's the Beb's favorite Bee Gees song?
I want the disco floor on for the no. We were doing a no ring during the show. There'll be an in the audience matchup. So I would love to have the disco floor on for that. That'd be fantastic.
That's badass.
That'd be awesome, dude.
I honestly
bro,
don't
I mean, you're
know
the
a
resident
Bee
DJ
Gees song.
on the
I
show,
don't
bro.
think.
Make sure they're on point, bro.
Right. Yep.
All right, we got another match suggestion from Donald, of course. Go figure. But Mike, give me the Bev versus Jordan Newman or Jaden Newman. Excuse me, I said it wrong. I read it wrong. Jaden Newman. So
same thing. The year's young. We never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
It is only February. We got a long way to go.
all right, and the last one I got to ask you guys about. You guys also alluded to it, and man, a lot of these people all happen to be past guests of the show, which is all the more reason for all you people who are new here to make sure you go out and check those things out. But you talked about Madman Pondo. Madman Pondo is also a past guest of the show. What are your thoughts on the scramble, Mike? And I've seen that you guys have released a lot of the participants in this thing, a lot of them being Detroit vets like Briar Wellington and some of the other guys that are on there. What are your thoughts on Madman Pondo? And Bev, after Mike gets done, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, since that's somebody that you said that you'd like to see happen at some point.
Well, we tried to do Bev and Pondo in LA during Thriller, and it was right. Bev got injured right during that time frame, so obviously that match couldn't happen. And we put Otis in there last minute to switch that out, and that match killed. And it was the first time I'd been able to work with Pondo. He was a pleasure to have around in the locker room. He did something that we've never done, and it's like, I guess because we're in such a frantic phase during shows where we're trying to make sure everything is perfect right up until the first match is about to start. He literally had the entire locker room just chill, stop talking, and go, everybody get together for a photo. Just so he has his memories from everything he's doing, and that resonated with me a lot because it is, time does tend to be shorter than you would imagine. So you want to be able to like have these moments to look back at it. And the photos, like the locker room photo we got, was insane because you literally, like, if you're looking at it, you got Masato Tanaka, Pondo, Gangrel, and Drake Younger with like the next generation of deathmatch wrestlers in the locker room above a dive bar in Los Angeles, and we have 300 people in a parking lot about to put on this sick show. And it was like, what the fuck reality are we living in? So something like that was really cool, and that always stuck with me. And I got to talk with Pondo a little bit during that show, and he's an absolute pleasure to have there. And even more so, just showing like his commitment to just being an incredible performer. When we called him to hit him up to book him for this Detroit show, and he was like, bro, I dropped 120 pounds since the last time you saw me, 2x now, this. I'm like, bro, you're gonna kill it. Like, this is insane.
Damn.
So being able to put him in this match, like have this thing for him, to me, it was a great way to be able to have a lot of the local Detroit talent on our show in a unique match and let them showcase themselves and give local love, because we do love Detroit. We love, the talent that the city breeds and what you guys have out there. And this was a way to bring somebody like Briar in. Like, I love what they're doing with Horror Slam, and being able to have him on our show, this created an opportunity for us to have a lot of these guys with us where we wouldn't normally be able to accommodate. And this, like, we're trying to fit as many guys in as possible,
Hell yeah, Bev. What do you got on that one?
I just have the utmost respect for Pondo. He's an absolute legend in the game. One of, if not my all-time favorite, just overall wrestlers. Just a quick little stories, whatever. I've seen him around for years. He come through Cleveland in different areas, and I didn't do deathmatch, really hardcore, anything. And I'd always be too nervous to go up and approach him, talk to him, anything. So I never really got to know him, even really introduce myself. So then once I started doing the deathmatch stuff and it started like really taking off, I finally like felt like, all right, maybe I can go up to this guy, have the nerve. So one of the first times I actually got to like talk to him, introduce myself, like I had to make sure I bought his book, I got his autograph, like that. He's the Mount Rushmore for me. Hopefully I'll get to work with him soon. But yeah, nothing but absolute respect for him. He's a pillar of this game. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be where it is right now.
Can't argue that, man. He came on the show back when we were in the podcast Detroit days talking about his comic and the things of all things. So Madman Pondo is definitely somebody we got to bring back through here, especially with what he's been doing in Japan lately and stuff like that. We got a few other questions for you, good ones that I thought we need to get to before we get out of here. Sam wants to know, is Circle 6 going to have a show in North Carolina in 2024?
I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no, because it is on our list of places that we'd like to go. But I will say that 2024, we've created a lot of good footprints in a lot of the cities that we've been working. So we're going to be nurturing that. We're going back to Houston finally, which, obviously Detroit was something I've been working on for a while, and I'm glad we were able to make that happen now. But we're going to be, I would say, slower this year on expanding into new cities as we're trying to do more stuff overseas and other places and create those partnerships, and really just focus on building the strong markets that we've been growing in, and then try to expand further into 25. But that doesn't mean that it's off the table. We're still looking at those options. And like, for example, we want to go to New Jersey, and everybody's been asking for us to do Jersey. The right opportunity is going to present itself, and when it does, we'll do it. But we also don't want to just go somewhere without having a good plan in place for it and expand with some thought behind it.
I like it. I can tell you this much, with you guys heading to Detroit, I've heard a lot of people talking to it. I know listeners of this show have already bought some of the front row tickets up for y'all to come here to Detroit. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes with there. Donald's got another good question for you as well, as far as the growth of Circle 6. He said he wants to know, do you think teaming with Casanova for the No Ring shows is really what helped Circle 6 blow up?
I definitely think it played a part into it, but I also I can't attribute it to any one single thing that really helped push it over the edge. I think going into the year, we ended 2022 on a low, in my opinion, on the final show of the year, and I think we started 23 on a high that kind of reinvigorated everybody on a new direction. And I would say every person that was a part of the locker room started to step up in a way where I feel like maybe on the end of 22, people were getting a little burnt out. And I think the unity in everybody and the creative process changed, and it made things feel more natural and fit for our team. Casanova obviously fit in there very well, and what he was working on building in New York with New Fear City was just that goes hand in hand. So to a degree, Barroom is a West Coast arm of it, but it's different. You would consider New Fear City shows the deathmatch equivalent of what Barroom is. You come to bar shows, you're going to get hardcore, but you're not going to get glass. You're not going to get that stuff. We're putting on a different type of event, but all of it is kind of meant to fit into this ecosystem kind of seamlessly. As we're growing and doing more events, we're figuring out how all of that works better and flows better, and that's why you're going to see more doubled up weekends of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we're not going to be doing 2 back-to-back regular Circle 6 shows. You're going to get a variety of things that are going to happen. Houston, I think, is going to be very happy with what they're getting, because they're also going to get a different version of what the traditional Barroom Blitz shows are.
Okay, so this is a question, J-Bone, I think you would agree. I would say this is probably a good bet, but we got another question in the thing. Who's most likely to do a dive off the stage at Harpo's? I would say Justice would be a good pick for this. J-Bone, do you got any other picks? And do either of you gentlemen?
No, I think Justice would be. I love that Harpo's has the big sign that says absolutely no stage diving, yet everybody jumps off that damn stage.
Yeah,
I love
somebody
that.
should have told Tommy, but
Yeah, that was a rough one.
I don't know. What if I put some money on Bobby going off a 16-foot scaffold? Does that help Bob?
Oh,
No?
As long as Ned's out of the way, we'll be all right.
Yeah, let's keep him
He's
out of the
shaking
way
his
this
head.
time.
It ain't happening.
As long as Ned's out of the way, we'll be all right.
I believe that's Matt.
Listen, if anybody's going off something, high, I would. I mean, you watch King of the Death match. Justice took that balcony dive. Would anybody have thought that he wasn't going to? It wasn't going to be him.
Right.
It had to be him. Which that was a crazy occurrence on his own. It was Bobby. You remember this? I don't know if you remember the security tried to stop him during that, and I was posting him up for it to go, and the security guard came and grabbed him, but I didn't realize it was the head of security for the venue. So I turned around and elbowed the dude in the chest to get him off of Justice. And as soon as Justice went off the balcony, I turned around. I was like, "Oh fuck, this is."
Oh shit, that's a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, we got a couple questions that'll swing it through to end the show with us. Chiming in, King of the Death matches. Love how you guys do the freebies for the fans. With that being said, Donald's got another good one. We've talked a lot about Japan. Bobby, this one more so for you, obviously. Do you have any plans on going to Japan? If so, do you have any goals over there?
That's the dream. That's the one thing when I got into wrestling, I really don't give a shit about TV, WWE, any of that kind of shit. I want to go to Japan. So hopefully it'll happen soon. I've always said if I can go to Japan and for some reason I can stay there and never come back and just wrestle there, I'm good with it. Let's go. So
that's on the bucket list for me between fights and wrestling. I want to get to Japan at some point. I've got homies.
Says the food's great, so
KG's all about the food.
I love it,
look, bro, so am I. I just got Crohn's disease, so sometimes the food doesn't always like me, but that doesn't mean I don't like the food. That's funny. For those that missed our show with KG, it was ironically him talking about Wrestle Kingdom, which sparked this here show, and I traveled solo to WrestleMania 33, and then now you see knockouts and 3 counts, so it's funny how these shows can end up. We got a couple more people shouting out cities they want to see Circle 6 in. Kayla says, can we get a 7 Nation Army show down in Chattanooga? You've also got are you guys planning on coming to Fargo at all?
Didn't have Fargo on the list. Should we? I don't know. Should we look at it? Maybe.
Yeah.
It sounds like people are calling for it.
Go to the Fargo Dome.
Yeah. Chattanooga. You guys get enough in Chattanooga, don't you? Do we need to come down there?
Chattanooga's those crowds are awesome though. I mean, even if they're not huge or whatever, it's a rabid crowd. It's always a great time.
Maybe Nashville. How far is Chattanooga from Nashville? Double up on a weekend, maybe? I don't know. We'll look at it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I mean, that brings a good question for you as well, Bobby. Another thing that a lot of people liked from our chat with Dale Patricks is we talked a lot about a wood chipper death match. I know a guy who's got a wood chipper. Check out our sponsors at Potter's Tree Service. But with that being said,
bring your equipment to our folks, bro.
Hey, we'll get you into the show. Bring the wood chipper. But with
Jesus fucking Christ.
Son of a bitch.
I work in the tree industry, and I have a wood chipper, and absolutely not.
We literally we were talking the other week about how far can we escalate before somebody actually dies, and this would be it.
I would say that's a safe bet. See, and there he is in the comments. You say wood chipper, here he comes. Hey, shout out to Potter's Tree Service. Make sure you're in Michigan and need somebody to cut a tree down. Check out Asa. But with that said, like I was saying, one of the things a lot of people liked from our chat with Dale Patricks was talking about with you being, like we've talked about, now the King of the Death Match and considered as one of the best deathmatch wrestlers currently in America, man. With that being said, do you have any favorite deathmatch moments from whatever matches those could be? Are there any moments deathmatch wise that stick out to you as big moments in your career?
Tournament of Death was CZW TOD was something as like a teenager. I would watch like real player videos or whatever, the fuck it was, and just dream about being a part of and winning. And I tried to get into CZW for years, and it was never a thing that happened. So it was like the wildest, craziest, like it just out of nowhere happened. It just, I don't know, it kind of blew me away, regardless of where CZW's at now or whatever. I think we had a great tournament. And I'm extremely proud of that. The King of the Death win was probably the most special moment I've had so far. That or House of Doom with Justice. Me and Matt, we live pretty close. We've been on the roads together for 15, 16 years. We struggle together. He's been one of my best friends forever. So to get him to finally be able to come in and do something crazy and special with me, and it was just me and him. We've done stuff. We did the big cage death match, 440, SBT, MDK, all that stuff. But for just to be me and him one-on-one, and the emotion that like we had at the end and just during the whole thing, that might actually be like the top moment. And then the King of the Death tournament of death. But those three, the two big tournament wins, because I feel like as a deathmatch wrestler or as like a fan before a wrestler, those are the things that I always looked at, was like who won the big tournaments and like what I considered the big ones. And there's a couple other ones out there still that I would love to win or be a part of. So those, and then that match with like one of my brothers, just the emotion that we had in that. So there's a ton of moments, but those would be like probably the top three, I would say.
Dig it.
I can definitely dig it. Well, I feel like this is as good a question as any to end this on, because something tells me that you're going to have a good answer to this. So we have a segment that we like to call locker room etiquette, but it's not what you'd like to think. It's not trying to poke and pick and prod. It's everybody's pet peeves and things. Now, we've had everybody from Josh Briggs from NXT, Austin Theory from WWE, to Silas Young and everybody in between. We've had everything from wash your balls to keep your baby mama out the locker room, to Ninja Mac telling us to always stay in the ring and keep training, Silas Young telling people to shut up and listen. If you had
Wash
any
your
pet
gears
peeve,
so it don't stink.
that part, we've heard that one a few times.
That's a big one.
Yeah, don't forget that one. But with that all said, if you could add anything to said list, whether it's advice you'd give to somebody who's new coming in or something that just annoys the shit out of you with stuff like that, what would it be?
I think this thing that I'm going to speak on has kind of it has changed a little bit now in these modern or present times, but it's like the handshake rule with wrestling. I just like want to be able to tell like young kids, and hopefully it evolves to the point of like, don't stress that, don't worry about it. It's the most ridiculous thing in my opinion to like walk into a locker room and feel like you have to go shake every single person's hand. Me and my Matt, we're kind of like loners in a way, and we come in and we like to go in a corner, and then we start to think about what we're doing tonight, get in the zone. And it was never a slight on people or anything. If you came over to me, I'd gladly shake your hand, hug you, smack you on the ass, whatever, you know what I mean? And if I pass you, absolutely. But for years as a young kid in wrestling, there was so much stress over like just like feeling like you had to shake someone's hand, or if you shook someone's hand that like you respected, and then they just kind of didn't give you attention, and so much anxiety that it creates, I feel like. And I think it's gotten a lot better. I just wish that was like a thing that just got completely eliminated, wasn't needed. I mean, like I said about Circle 6 and a lot of the other shows I do, ICW, I feel like it's a lot like a family. Those are your homies, your boys, girls, everybody. And I never felt the need like I gotta just immediately go up and shake someone's hand. Like when I see you at some point, we're gonna, dap it up, hug it out, all that good shit. That's one thing I think it's got better, but it's a limit. Shit, it's not even ridiculous.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we've chopped up about a lot of things. So before we let you get out of here, if you got any last words for Dale Patricks or your match here with Drake Younger, the floor is yours, and let everybody know why they need to check out Circle 6 when this comes to a city near them.
I mean, they know me. We're all cool. Like I said, I live to die, so they better be ready to die. I go hard. I go fucking 120%, whatever. Everything I got's going out there. So if they don't bring it, which I know they will, they're going to be at risk of something happening to them, unfortunately. And at that point, I ain't gonna feel bad about it. But we'll kill it. We're all gonna fucking go out there and destroy it. Circle Six, I just hope more people continue to check it out. We can keep on growing. Really like putting good deathmatch wrestling out there, good wrestling, hardcore wrestling, all of it. Just trying to like do it right, give everybody opportunities, tell good stories, and just benefit wrestling, deathmatch wrestling overall. So hopefully, if anybody sees this or gets a chance to check out the show, they continue to come back and just give us the support, you know.
Hell yeah, man. Well, boys, I feel like we've covered all the in-between, everything that's going on with Circle Six when it comes here to Detroit. Bobby, we definitely got to link up once we get to Harpo's. We'll be down there.
Absolutely.
Knockouts and 3 counts will be in the building. Shout out to Donald again. Thanks for coming back to Detroit. We're looking forward to the show.
Hell yeah.
Mike, if you got any last words, my man, before we get out of here, I feel like we've covered the gamut, huh?
Yeah, I think the only thing I could say is, Bobby, you probably agree with me, is everybody's antsy. Like, we're ready to get going.
Yeah.
So Detroit's gonna be stupid. Everybody's ready to fucking go. Yeah,
I'm ready to go. Shit.
Hopefully we make it out alive.
At Harpo's too, so let's go, baby.
And it's on a Sunday, so I don't have to call off work. You don't have an excuse.
There you go.
I gotta work. We're gonna be down there.
Yep.
Beers are on Kyle again. It's
Hold
perfect.
on. The post office does not pay me that well, despite what they like to make people think. Hey, post office don't pay me that great, so don't be doing that.
Come on down there. Kyle's buying beers. We'll see you there.
Hell no. I mean, I might be drinking a few beers, but I don't know about me buying all the beers. But if everybody hits the subscribe button, maybe I could do that. So in the meantime and in the in-between time, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our sponsors at Potter's Tree Service and all that stuff. And stay tuned. We've got a busy week coming next week. More to talk about Circle 6. And then on Thursday, we've got Drop Zone coming through. We've got our UFC 298 preview. Check out our interview with Miranda Maverick, who's going to war in the UFC next weekend. And shout out to last week's guest, Jimmy Flick, who got him a win on the last UFC. And Murcielago's own Charles Energy Johnson getting back on that grind and getting that W. Oh shit, J-Bone, you're going to be carpooling. It looks
That's
like
what I'm talking about. I was just about to message him. We're going, baby. I'll bring the tequila.
Carpool. Everybody needs to get your ass to Detroit. Make sure you're checking it out at Harpo's. Until next time, and in the in-between time, hit that subscribe button. Peace.
Hell yeah.